Previously, Nothrum found themselves in the small town of Bronbog, which was full of lizard folk and Yuan-ti, as well as what looked like slaves or prisoners. Several of the group quickly noticed that one of the prisoners, a young half-elf of red hair, resembled Ceres a fair bit. As she had left home almost 30 years earlier, and the prisoner was clearly younger than that, Ceres didn't have any definite answers to their questions. Nothrum backtracked and set up the hut a fair distance from the town, where Gwei and Zalar filled them in on what they knew about Yuan-ti. The group decided to wait until full dark and to send a few of them back to do some recon. It was decided that Aryan, Ceres, and Aerith would return to the village to see what they could find out. The plan went fairly well at first, with an invisible Ceres and Aerith quietly slipping through the guards. They were caught by a giant snake that could sense them despite not being able to see them, but Aerith was able to polymorph it into a snail before anyone else was alerted to their presence. Ceres quietly unlocked one of the cages of prisoners, the ones that the half-elf that they noticed earlier was in, but the guards noticed then started shouting. Aryan cast Hold Person on the closest guards, giving Aerith, Ceres, and the prisoners time to dash for the trees on the outskirts of the village. It didn't go too badly at first, until some of the Yuan-ti started firing poisoned arrows. Aerith turned herself into a T-Rex, drawing essentially all of the enemy's attention onto her, which led to her being hit by a large number of arrows, turning back into her usual elf self, going unconscious, and then somehow managing not to get hit even once by the 11 arrows that were shot at her after she went unconscious. They were able to take out the remaining enemies who had followed them and get back to the rest of the group with 2 of the 4 prisoners who they'd freed, one of whom was the red-haired half-elf. Zalar put up the hut again, and the former prisoners explained to them what had happened to Bronbog. The Yuan-ti had taken over the town about 9 months earlier, and the lizard folk had joined them in the last 3 months. They'd killed many of the villagers and had only kept the useful ones alive. The half-elf was named Jonas Brightwood, and they were a cleric of the Wild Mother. Around that time, Aryan mentioned Ceres' name. Jonas was caught off guard, as that was the name of their older sibling, one who'd left home before they were born, so they'd never met them. A reluctant Ceres sighed and asked how the Feshu Narrows had been, confirming that she was in fact Jonas's long-missing sibling. Jonas and the other prisoner pointed out that the Yuan-ti would likely increase the number of guards in the village, so if the group was going to try to rescue anyone else, they needed to move quickly. Nothrum decided they were going to head back that night, in the hope that the Yuan-ti wouldn't have time to bring in a large number of reinforcements, and they settled in to plan. And that's where we left off.